Hello students and welcome back to the video lecture series of software engineering. Today's topic is requirement engineering. I am your instructor Ms. Shruti Rawal. So up till now you have studied project management. The next thing that we are going to study is requirement engineering. Now what do you mean by requirement engineering? Requirement engineering is the actual task in which you communicate with the customer for gathering the requirement, right? The first thing that we are going to study in requirement engineering is the different tasks which are related to requirement engineering, right? Now first of all, let us list down the tasks. The first task is inception, the next is elicitation, the next is elaboration, the next is negotiation, specification, validation and requirement management. So you can see there are basic 7 tasks which are associated with requirement engineering. Now you may wonder, ma'am, there is a customer, there is a developer, both need to communicate, take the requirements and the requirement engineering is completed. That is what is to be done. Why are these 7 tasks bifurcated? You will see shortly that it is not only just communicating with the customer. If you want to develop a software product, right, there are a whole lot of things that are going on. Let us start with the first requirement engineering task, that is inception. Now you know what is the basic meaning of inception, right? What do you mean by inception? It is actually the beginning of your project. Now when the need arises for developing a product, that is known as inception, right? So you know that there is a problem and you know that there could be a solution. You don't know currently what will be the elaborated solution, but you know there is a problem, there is a need in the market and there is a solution which you can provide to this particular problem. That phase is known as inception. Now let us study what is to be done in inception. The first thing that you will do in inception is you will roughly define the scope. Again, scope has been discussed in various lectures. You know that scope means all the things that you are going to include and all the things that you are not going to include, but here the word is roughly defining the scope. We are not defining the final scope because inception is before beginning the project. So you are obviously going to change the scope, but still in the inception phase you need to define that what are the basic things that you are going to include in this solution, right? The next thing that will be included in inception is understanding of the problem, right? You have to thoroughly understand the problem, because if you are not aware about what the problem is, you will not give the perfect solution. It is similar to if I give you a problem statement in lab, right? And if I tell you develop a program which takes this input and displays this output, right? If you are not understanding the problem statement, what will happen? The output that you are showing to me may not be exactly what I want, because it is not according to the problem statement. So in real world also you have to thoroughly analyze the problem, you have to understand the problem, and then only you can give the solution. Now this may not be the 100% solution at this stage, because this is a very beginning of your product. Obviously the solution will take many forms, it will get refined over the period of time, but still you need to understand the solution which you are going to create at this moment, right? So in inception you have to understand the problem, you have to understand the solution. Also you have to have the basic understanding of the product or the project that you are going to develop. We are talking about the basic understanding of the project. We are again not talking about the requirements. We are not talking about the functional requirement. We are not talking about the non-functional requirement. We are just talking about the understanding of project. What is to be done? We are not again talking about how is to be done. That is to be taken into consideration in later on steps. Also the next thing that we take into consideration in inception stage is you have to find the business need and all the stakeholders that will be related to your project, right? We know that stakeholders are the person who are directly or indirectly related to your product, right? So you need to identify the customer, you need to identify the end user, you need to identify the manager, you need to identify the developer. So these are the stakeholders that are related to your project. You need to identify them in inception phase. Also, after identifying the stakeholders, you have to conduct a meeting in which you will not discuss what are the requirements, but you will discuss viewpoints of every stakeholders, and you will also have multiple viewpoints along with multiple constraints associated with that viewpoint, so that your scope becomes clear in the later on stages, right? Because there will be certain business constraint, there will be certain technical constraint, there will be certain development constraint. So every stakeholder, according to his or her profession, will have different constraint associated with this project. You have to discuss this by holding the meeting, and you have to discuss this multiple viewpoint so that you may come to a conclusion what is the actual scope of your project, right? And the basic thing that we need to do in inception is we have to work towards collaboration. We have identified the stakeholder, we have identified the rough scope of our project, we have the basic understanding of the problem as well as the basic understanding of the solution. Now the only thing that is remaining is we need to work together. All the stakeholder needs to communicate from now on thoroughly, so that we achieve the same target. Everybody's vision is same, to get a successful project. So now we need to work towards collaboration at the end of your inception phase, right? So I hope you are clear about what is inception. The next thing is you have to ask in the inception phase again, what are the benefits, what is the problem, and what are the constraints, right? So this you will get basically after holding the meetings with the stakeholders. The next thing is elicitation. Now, what do you mean by elicitation? Elicitation is the actual requirement gathering phase in which the customer and developers communicate with each other. So this is a very important phase because we need to define every requirement clearly. Although it seems the easiest phase of requirement engineering task, this is the most difficult phase to be actually accomplished successfully, because in real world we have encountered there is always a gap of communication or miscommunication between developers and customer. Customers are always enforcing requirements endlessly, right? They think that every requirement can be accommodated in any project because there is a special need for that to be accomplished, right? And the developers are almost lazy to actually accommodate the requirements, or there may be correct to some extent that there may be some conflicting requirements which cannot be accommodated, right? So everything needs to be defined clearly in this phase, that is elicitation, but it is not always the case. So from whom are we actually gathering the requirement? From the users. Users are basically the end user who are using or who are going to use your product, right? We need to take into consideration the nature of user, the gender of user, the actual characteristic of end users who are going to use this product, right? Because ultimately we are developing the product for them. They are going to use the product. So what is their requirement? You need to take that into consideration in your elicitation phase. The next is customer. Now you may wonder, ma'am, what is the difference between customer and an end user? Now it is a possibility that customer is an end user, and there is also a possibility customer is not equal to end user. Customer is a person who is paying you for developing this project. He or she may pay you, but it is not essential that he or she is using the product. That product may be developed for some other person, right? It may be developed for the common public, right? Or it may be developed for a specific market. So what is the need of customer, and what are the requirements that customer needs to be fulfilled? That is to be taken into consideration. And after user and customer, yes, in that priority, the last thing is you have to go to stakeholders for collecting the requirements. Now these stakeholders will be your project manager, they will be your application development developers, they will be the actual technical persons who are going to develop, they may be the salesperson who is going to sell your product, right? Because everybody has their viewpoint again for the requirement, right? So there may be some requirements which customer and end user wants to be accomplished, but it is not possible with the viewpoint of any other stakeholder. Let's say developers are telling that we are not comfortable for developing this particular requirement, right? Or it may cost more. So you have to also take their viewpoint into consideration in elicitation phase, so that when you get a work product of elicitation, that you get the requirements of elicitation phase, there is no conflicts, right? Now, even though we are trying our best to communicate with all of them, there are some issues related to the elicitation phase. Which are they? The first is issue of scope. Now this issue of scope is basically related to customer. Why? Because I told you that customer will give you requirements endlessly. They do not know what is scope. They think that there are no boundaries for a software product. Everything that I tell should be completed, and that too on time, right? So they have a tight budget, they have a tight schedule, but they do not have tight requirements. They have endless requirements. So that means you have issues that is related to your product scope. You need to cope up with that. You need to have discussion, a thorough discussion with the customer about what is the actual boundary of your software product. The next is issues in understanding. Now, how can be there issues in understanding? Because there are two different genres of people. There may be a customer who is technical, there may be a customer who is non-technical, right? So customer themselves are not understanding the requirements. It is a possibility that whatever requirements they are telling to you, you are not able to understand that requirements exactly as they think. Also, there may be some implicit requirements inside the mind of the customer, which customer is thinking that you know, but you actually don't know, right? So there may be an understanding problem between the customer as well as the developer, which obviously will persist till the end of your project. If not taken into consideration while in elicitation phase, it will surely propagate to next phases. And the last issue is issue of volatility. Now what is volatility? It is the changes that you have to accommodate in your product. Now up to a extent you can accommodate the change, but if you are in the testing phase, if you are in the system testing phase and there is a change in your architecture or the requirement, what will happen? It may be impossible to accommodate that, right? So still, if you are in the elicitation phase, you need to be clear to the customer that there may be an issue of volatility. All the changes at every point may not be accommodated in our product. That needs to be defined clearly, right? So the first phase that we saw was inception. The next phase that we see is elicitation. Continuing elicitation, there is a term known as collaborative elicitation, because we saw that elicitation is a phase which is by seeing we can say that it is very easy, but actually it is the most difficult phase of requirement engineering. So we need to do the elicitation or requirement gathering collaboratively. So by collaborative elicitation, what do we mean? We mean that there must be meetings that are held at different occasions, right? So there may be meetings between customer and developer, there may be meeting between the salesperson and the developer, there may be meeting where every stakeholder is present, right? So periodic meetings are to be held, one-on-one session, question answer session, questionnaire session, that sort of session, so that all the requirements get clear through different modes of communication. Okay, statement of scope should be established. Description of technical environment should be established. List of requirements and the constraint related to every requirement should be established. And if there is a rough prototype, we are not talking about a working prototype, we are talking about a non-working prototype, if any, with the developer, they may show it during the elicitation phase. You may use the use cases over here for better understanding of the functional requirement, not necessary at all, but you may use. Characteristic, you have to actually categorize, or you can say characterize, that how the users will interact with the system in the elicitation phase itself. so that you may develop the use cases for functional requirement, right? Also, there is another term in elicitation that is known as QFD, quality function deployment. Now, what do you mean by quality function deployment? This is basically a quality management technique. Now, what is software engineering all about? Software engineering is about maintaining the quality of your product, right? So, if you want to maintain the quality of your product in elicitation phase itself, you may translate the needs of the customer to technical requirements for software. Now, what is the basic goal of this? The basic goal is to maximize your customer satisfaction. So, what is the main focus? The main focus is what is valuable to the customer. So, according to the generic characteristic of customers in software industry, quality function deployment, which is a quality management technique, has actually delineated 3 categories of requirement. The first category being normal requirement. Now, normal requirement consists of all the functional and non-functional requirement which the customer has stated directly to the developers, and you compulsory have to fulfill all the normal requirement to which you have agreed upon, right? Because obviously if the person, that is a customer, has requested a login page and if you are not accommodating login at all, what will happen? Your project is a disaster, right? So normal requirement are the type of requirement which are compulsory to be accommodated in your project. The next category of requirement, which is the most dangerous requirement, are expected requirements. I have already discussed that customer is a person who assumes many things. So there may be some requirement, most probably the non-functional requirements, which he or she assumes that it should be accommodated. They are implicit requirements. I do not need to state it explicitly. For example, they have not mentioned that the software needs to be easily installed in every machine, in every platform, right? So that is not mentioned. You are not thinking that installation is a problem, right, which the customer may face. So you are not at all focusing on this installation thing, and at last what happens, installation is very difficult, right? You must have a lots of step and you have a whole user manual. Now customer will be dissatisfied. Why? Because that was the requirement which was expected from you, that was implicit, that was not explicitly told to you, but you must have understood, right? That is what customer thought. So this is the requirement which is the most dangerous one. You need to carefully analyze the customer's behavior, and according to the behavior you need to ask questions about all the non-functional requirements so that this expected requirements explicitly are stated by the customer, right? And the last set of requirement is exciting requirements. Now exciting requirements are the requirements which neither the customer has stated nor he is expecting implicitly. These are the requirements which you are giving to the customer for maintaining your reputation, or you can say for making them happy, right? So that they come to you a second time, a third time for developing something else. That is known as an exciting requirement, right? For example, you give them a very good user interface. Now user interface may not be a very much concern for a specific customer, right? So you may not have discussed the monetary things related to a very good user interface, but still you give it to them. What will happen? Yes, the customer will be very happy and he will be excited to work with you in future also. So exciting requirements are not necessary to be accomplished, right? They can be taken into consideration after the normal requirements and expected requirements are completed. So you need to focus first on normal requirement. The next you need to focus on expected requirements. Once both of these requirements are completed, you can go for exciting requirements, right? So this is how you can give quality product to your customer. Now the next phase after elicitation is elaboration. Now you know what is the meaning of elaboration, right? So basically detailing or refinement is what is elaboration is all about. Yes, so we know what are the functional requirements in the elicitation phase because we have already gathered the requirement from the customer, user as well as other stakeholders. Elaboration is the phase in which you will detail the requirements. It means you will expand the whole idea, right? You will actually see what is the software functioning like, what is the behavior of that function, right? You will also specify or create the whole user scenario with all the interaction of the user with your system, and you will extract the analysis class and the relationship between those classes, right? So that is elaborating the whole requirements individually. That is what elaboration is all about. After elaborating, that is after refinement, after detailing every requirement, the next thing is negotiation. Because once you elaborate the requirement, there may be some requirements that you encounter are conflicting, which cannot go together. So you need to negotiate, right? Customer will say that by hook or crook, you have to develop everything what we have decided in elicitation phase. So even though in elaboration phase, you are telling me that there are conflicting requirements, I will not consider this as a conflict. You have to accommodate it anyhow. But still, you have to reconcile the conflicts. You have to agree on a deliverable system. But how? By achieving the measure of satisfaction for both of them, right? You may negotiate with the customer that there are these two requirements, we can combine them, we can discard the particular requirement, and we can give you, instead of this requirement, we can give you this requirement, right? So these sort of negotiation has to be taken places by holding the meetings, and you have to achieve a measure of satisfaction for both the customer as well as developer. There should be a middle way, right? So that is what negotiation is all about. Then next after negotiation is you have already having a list of requirements, that is functional, non-functional. You have already expanded the requirements in the elaboration phase. Also the conflicting requirements have been eradicated. Now you need to specify using some sort of model. So in specification, basically you are creating an analysis model, and this analysis model differs from project to project, differs from people to people who are developing this specification. So it may be a written document like software specification, like SRS, right? It may be a graphical model, like all the diagrams you have inside it. It may be a mathematical or logical model. It may be only a collection of user scenario, or it may be a somewhat rough working prototype, right? So this is what specification is all about. You are creating an analysis model so that you get a better idea of all the requirements, because only the written things do not specify in a better mode for communicating it with the end users. The end users, if you want to show them, or the customers, that what are we going to actually accomplish, you need to have some sort of analysis model, and that is what specification does, right? So at the end of you can say specification, we will most probably have an SRS or any sort of analysis model. The next comes validation. Now even though we have discussed this many times with the customer and every stakeholder, there may be some errors which are there in the SRS that needs to be eradicated, and that is what validation does. It assesses for the quality of requirements. It reviews the requirement specification as well as the SRS document or the analysis model that we have completed in specification phase. It checks for all the errors. There may be some errors in the specification. There may be ambiguities, right? There may be some conflicting requirements which were not identified in the elaboration phase, so they were not eradicated in this negotiation phase, which are still in the SRS. So in validation phase, you may encounter some of the ambiguities. There may be something which is totally absent, that is omission, right? So we may encounter some things which are not at all present in the SRS, which needs to be included. And again, there may be some conflicts related to technology, related to budget, related to schedule, etc., which are present in SRS. That also needs to be taken into consideration while validating the document. So in validation phase, we try to encounter all the errors related to the software requirement specification document as well as the model that we have created or the prototype that we have created, and we try to delete all these errors at the end of validation phase. So for this we conduct a technical review. We have a review team which ensures the quality of this particular document, and we try to remove all the ambiguities and errors after the validation phase, right? So after validation phase we will have a document which does not consist of any error or ambiguities, right? And the last phase is requirement management. Now requirement management is nothing but it is not a single phase, it is a set of activities. It is a set of activities which identifies the requirement, control the requirements, trace the requirements. Why is these activities needed? Because requirement engineering task, right, they are the task which we are performing before starting the actual designing of our software product. But if we are in designing phase, after the whole lot of validation also, if we are in designing phase and if the customer requires change in requirement, then we have to accommodate that change. And if there is a change in requirement, let's say for example in the design phase, component design phase, we have already designed the architecture, now we are designing the component, right? What needs to be changed? Everything related to that particular function that is to be accommodated needs to be changed, right? So the documentation will change. So the tracing of all the requirements associated with the change, the tracing or controlling of all the requirements, again checking for the conflicting requirements, again negotiating with the clients, right? That sort of activities related to the change in requirement during the course of development is known as requirement management. So requirement engineering task, the last task is requirement management, and it never ends because changes are inevitable in software development. So requirement management does not stop. Okay, so this is a never ending process. So this were the 7 steps of requirement engineering task. I hope they are clear, and this was all about today's lecture. Thank you.